Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is going to be one of my last videos on Palantir for 2022. What a year 2022 has been. This day, December 30th, 2022, we just got a letter from CEO Alex Karp. I've been really enjoying covering the company over the year. I've really been enjoying understanding what this company can do, and I've really been enjoying deepening my conviction and understanding the bear case against my conviction by having a lot of perspectives. We've done almost 50 weeks of Palantir Weekly since I think we started it around February. So I think we're going to end the year at something like 48. So almost the entire year we've done Palantir weekly every Friday night. And it's been quite a journey. I mean, it's been really, really awesome going through the whole year with everyone that's been part of the community and trying to analyze this company. Look, either we're going to be right or we're going to be wrong. It's just one of those feelings about a community that I've been part of that makes you feel you have a better chance of being right than wrong. And with all the research we've done, with all the analysis we've done, with all the things that are going to happen and have happened, 2023 and beyond could be really special for Palantir, regardless of the stock price. And eventually, hopefully, the stock price will reflect that. So I just want to thank everyone for being part of the community and continuing to consume the content, because it really means the world to me. And your support also means the world for me. It inspires me to keep making more content. We got a letter today from Palantir's Chief Executive Officer, Alex Karp. Software and War, and let's read it as they end out the year. The role our software is playing in the world, often by necessity, remains far from public view. This month, however, two newspapers, the Washington Post and the Times of London, published articles about the use of our software in Ukraine. He quotes that the Ukrainians are fusing their courageous fighting spirit with the most advanced intelligence and battle management software we've ever seen in combat, writes David Ignatius of the Washington Post. George Grillis of the Times of London adds, those who have witnessed the AI in action have been left in no doubt about its revolutionary power. Now, it's really important that Karp included these two quotes because Palantir does not get the best rep in the media, primarily because they are so secretive and also because, people, especially in the United Kingdom, really don't like Palantir. There's a lot of negative propaganda. So for these two pretty major mainstream publications to be able to put out an article that expresses what Palantir is doing in a very non-biased way and just objectively shows that the tech is working from people that are actually using it, especially in one of the worst geopolitical crises of our lifetime. It says a lot about the technology and what it's being used for. The stories offer accounts of the dramatic shift in the way wars are now fought, underscoring the moral and philosophical questions that arise from deploying a software system that can systematically identify and eliminate an enemy from afar. Meaning, without having to use a nuclear weapon or bombs or threats, you have software that is able to actually identify what's going on, giving smaller countries the power as if they had a nuclear weapon, which is what Karp has been saying for the past 6 months now. We acknowledge that the ethical challenges that the use of our software raises are significant, but the stakes cannot be higher and the costs of inaction are real. Those stakes have to deal with the collapse of Western democracy, Western freedoms, and the ability for dictatorial authoritarian regimes to retain power. And, no one wants those institutions remaining power, those ideologies getting in power, because then we have a less free world. Our collective experiment with democratic governance remains a remarkably fragile one and requires a shared commitment to something more than the self. When he says shared commitment more than something to the self, he's talking about the divide between individualism and collectivism. So obviously, Karp is more of a self-proclaimed socialist. He cares more about the collective society. Thiel, co-founder of Palantir, Peter Thiel, a little bit more individualistic. And I think the duopoly between Palantir is this nature of dealing with the individual versus the collective. They care about civil liberties and privacy, which is individualistic, but they care about that in the context of making sure that the collective is safe, i.e. why Palantir was invented in order to prevent another 9/11 from happening, which would hurt the collective. And every time a terrorist attack happens, why does it hurt the collective? Because the state then infringes on your sovereignty and your individuality. Because now when you get to the airport, there's a lot more restrictions because they need to make sure that the collective is protected. So by actually preserving and helping the collective, you are actually preserving and protecting Western freedoms and your own freedom, right? Like your own individual self, because the state then can't be a dictatorial authoritarian regime that imposes itself on you, which is kind of the entire cool thesis about Palantir, which is why, I even got into the company in the first place. Those using our platforms in the defense and intelligence context for reconnaissance, targeting, and other purposes requires the best weapons that we can build. And we have never been inclined to wait on the sidelines while others risk their lives. The software platforms that we have built are used by soldiers and intelligence operatives in the United States, as well as allied nations in Europe and around the world. And that's true. The government in the United States and all across the world use their platforms. Now, they want to scale that, obviously, to be a much, much more bigger impact in the world, and we'll see if they can do that. Some companies find ways to work with adversaries. We have beliefs, and we have chosen a side. Those on the front lines and in the arena will bend the arc of history, and our software is in the fight. Now, those last three sentences mean a lot. Some companies find ways to work with our adversaries. We have beliefs and we have chosen our side, meaning they're saying, look, we're not the tech company that's helping Russia and China. We're actually choosing a side. We're doing the most radical thing you can do, which is have an opinion and then defend it. Those on the front lines and in the arena will bend the arc of history, meaning you will change the way, the very fabric of the trajectory of where democracy ends up going. And our software is in the fight. Sincerely, Alex Karp. Palantir software is playing a role. Now, there's two ways you can interpret this. Either you can be super excited about this and be like, this is a really great way to end out the year. Palantir's done amazing stuff. Stock is down. I get it. Every stock is down. But I like what the CEO had to say. I do think Palantir will be a necessary software in a more complex world from a governmental perspective and from a commercial perspective. And as a result of that, I'm bullish on Palantir. The other way you could take it is, well, it seems like the CEO to end out the year is not talking about helping Hertz. It's not talking about helping Integrity Tools. He's not talking about all the other commercial clients that they've got, BP, Exxon. He's talking about war and software in the context of war. And like, do I really want to put my money behind a company that's always talking so philosophically about the nature of war? Why wouldn't I want, to invest in other countries or other companies that don't really take a stance on war, that don't get this political, because this is a very political letter, that don't talk about individualism or collectivism, that just focus on like results and operating margins and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that second way would be a flawed way of thinking about it if you're thinking of Palantir as an asymmetrical bet. I don't think this letter is trying to sugarcoat anything. I don't think this letter is trying to say, hey, like, we're focused on war, so just like invest in us because we care about war. I think this letter is establishing, and this is either you believe in this or you don't, and you're going to either be right or you're going to be wrong, that Palantir is going to play an outsized impact in the world over the next decade. And the letter, the reason they're not talking about a bunch of these commercial clients that they've gotten is because that's not as important as what they are doing to save democracy. Now, the byproduct of, for example, their software being incredibly valuable in Ukraine and helping save democracy is not only the financial upside from the government business, which, I've talked to a lot of people that say could be worth well over $100 billion if it actually plays out the way we think it could play out, the total TAM on that. But the byproduct of stopping a country from being dismantled by a dictatorial regime is that a lot of other commercial clients have to take you seriously. It was like, okay, if Palantir software can give a nuclear weapon AI level equivalent piece of software to Ukraine, can it help solve our supply chain problems? Now, that doesn't mean they don't have to do sales. That doesn't mean they don't have to go to market. That doesn't mean they don't have to reduce stock-based compensation. All of these concerns are there. But the feeling this letter should give you if you are super bullish on Palantir is this company is important. This company is doing things that very few companies are doing. There's a lot of competitors to Palantir that are not doing what Palantir is doing. And as a result of that, I want to put my money in a asymmetrical bet that if they are able to figure out growth and sales and really do the impactful things, which is the thesis of, Karp, is that if you do the impactful things, if you have the impactful product, that will eventually lead to sales, even though you still have to have a sales force, and that's a mistake they recognize and they're trying to fix, then this is going to be a very valuable company, and this is going to be a really important investment. And you either believe in that or you don't. And if you believe in that, you're happy with this letter because you're like, yeah, they've talked a lot about all the commercial and private deals they've done and how much they had a whole FoundryCon conference where they got a bunch of private companies talking about how much money they saved. And like, they've done all that PR work. How they end the year is saying, remember what our company is doing. And to me, I took this letter as like, when you have doubts, remember that there are people who will bend the arc of history, and our software is in the lines of fight of trying to help those people make sure that history is on the right side. So those are my thoughts. Very bullish for Palantir. And again, my mind can change based on the data. We'll see what happens with the data. And if it changes, it changes. But overall, I'm going to give them some grace. I think they had a phenomenal 2022. I think they got a lot of things done. They're going to print around $1.9 billion in revenue, most likely. We'll see how Q4 goes in February when they do earnings. And I'm happy to excited and continue to cover the company on this channel. Thank you for everyone who has stayed on this channel and consume content that it's not only for Palantir. We have a morning open every day, which we have damn near 300 people that join every morning for about an hour to listen to me talk about stocks and the market and breaking news. And it's been really exciting. And I think the channel has an ability to go far in 2023 as we talk about Palantir and as we expand all the topics we talk about. But Palantir is the main focus because I think it can be big, and we're going to see what ends up happening. So thanks so much for listening, watching. Appreciate your thoughts. Appreciate your comments. Appreciate your support. All of 2022 means the world to me. I'll see you guys in the next one.